What's going down, y'all? It's Penn Pops here, and it's the season 3. As we're so excited, we said we were gonna bring you guys a better show, improve the show. We got shot for shot going on. We've added some new things and interviews. We said we're gonna give you guys some. When we kicked off the show, we talked about who we want to be our first big interview, and we got him.
We did get him. So episode 4 will look a little different for yours of season 3. That'll be episode 4, right?
Yeah, okay. Episode 4.
Episode 4 will look a little different for you. So this episode that you're about to watch is just going to be our big interview, and that is with the head coach of Ohio State men's basketball, Chris Holtmann.
Absolutely. Enjoy the show, y'all.
Boom.
All right, so we're recording now. So again, this is absolutely crazy to us. When we started the show at the beginning of 2022, we talked about having some big interviews. We asked each other, like, who would you like to interview first? And quite truthfully, there was one name that came to be, and that was Mike Conley. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, bro. I'm totally kidding. It was Coach Christopher Allen Holtmann. We had to talk. You got the Indianapolis and 614 connection. You've been the head coach of the Butler Bulldogs. You're currently the head coach of Ohio State University men's hoop squad. You know Naptown, you know the 614, a personal friend of mine, which is crazy to me. Let me finish this. We're so thankful to have you on the show. I know this isn't your jam, getting your ass kissed, but we got to do it. Even my brother Pops here, as a true Michigan fan, I told you when you came to the gym, I was like, my brother said you're a player's coach, and he absolutely loves you. We got a great coach. We're huge fans of you personally, professionally. We're honored to have you on the show. And yeah, man, again, introducing the head coach of the Ohio State men's basketball program, Chris Holtmann. What up, baby?
Guys, hey, much love. Right back at you, man. You know how I feel.
Thank you. Of course I do.
Enough. It's good to be on with you guys.
Yeah, man, this is a true pleasure. Enough of kissing your butt. Shout outs to the Avenue X team. We'd be far remiss not to give a shout out to the Avenue X squad. Deb over there, the Stocks, Mike and Jenny. Ashley was like, you got to give them a shout out for me. So Ash says, what up? You know what that is. And before we get into the nooks and crannies, you know, Gardner Webb, Butler days, Ohio State and all of that stuff, you've forgotten more X and O's than we've ever known. Let's hit some icebreakers real quick. Your top 5 NBA players of all time.
Ooh. I'm going to go, listen, this debate's going to go on for a while, LeBron or Jordan, right? LeBron,
That's
Jordan.
For sure.
That'll go on forever. I don't know who I'd put at 1 right now. I went back and forth. I grew up in the Jordan era. Magic and Bird, loved watching them. Yeah, but I'm going to go kind of those 2 at the top. I would probably say Wilt at 3.
Ooh.
I'd probably say probably Kareem at 4. I might throw Magic on there too. I know that's a lot of Lakers, but I might throw Magic.
That's a lot of Lakers. That's a lot of West Coast love for a Midwest player, bro. Can't be mad though. Question number 2. What is your favorite sport not named college football, college basketball?
Oh man, college football. I love watching college football. I don't know that, you guys know this. Butler, you don't fully appreciate it when you're there because it's a basketball school. It's driven by
for sure.
All about, what the hoops program can do. I think coming here, I've got a whole new appreciation for college football. I've loved college football. Even back in my days when I was down south in North Carolina, I loved watching SEC football. So college football, I actually like tennis. I like watching.
No doubt.
I like tennis. But those would be the top 3. I'm not into a ton of other sports outside of those.
We agree.
You checking in on that U.S. Open right now?
Yeah, a little bit. I actually had my agent. He was like, "Hey, man, come on out we got a suite out here in the U.S. Open." And I said, "Yeah, one of these years I'm going to take you up on it." But not this year. But yeah,
a lot going on this year, baby.
No doubt. That's one of the events I want to hit is U.S. Open.
Yeah, that's like a dream of mine to hit that U.S. Open. I'm a huge tennis guy. I've always been a Nadal and Federer and Djokovic, like who's the best of that 3. And
oh yeah,
and we've got some good young U.S. players right now, like TFO and like those guys. So it's kind of like it's like tennis is kind of fun to watch right now. I was watching that match last night. Like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah, no doubt. There's some characters in the game right now that make it fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
for sure. So real quick, we value and respect your time. So if you need to go, you need to go. We're about to kick it off and get into it. Early life and Midwest love, bro. You grew up in Kentucky. Are you a UK fan or like is that your jam?
Oh man, listen, I grew up the biggest UK fan like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I watched every game. I lived and died. I mean, it was everything to me. You know, you get to a point, you guys know this, where you get older and maybe, you know, and you're now coaching at other schools. It doesn't mean the same. We played Kentucky actually in Vegas my third year, the COVID year. We played Kentucky in Vegas and man, we actually played really well. We beat them. It was a fun experience. Yeah, huge Kentucky fan. My mom, to this day, when the Buckeyes are playing and the Cats are playing, she'll listen to one and watch the other.
Word up.
That's how
When did you start hooping and what was life like around the Holtmann house?
I tell you, B, it was pretty early age, man. That was my deal. That was my deal. Like I tell people all the time, like, you know, who got a lot of different hobbies. I didn't grow up with a lot of different hobbies. I played sports, played a couple different sports, and then I kind of specialized into basketball. But I mean, I got 5, 6. I was hooping at an early age.
Word.
The better the competition, the better the run. I was there. I'd drive 40 minutes to find a better run.
All right, homie. We see you out here. We see you. Hooped in Indiana and Kentucky. Most of your jobs have been in the Midwest. We think the Midwest is a great place ourselves, obviously. Yeah, especially that Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky. What keeps you here? I know you went to North Carolina and coached there at G-Dub, but like, what keeps you in the Midwest?
I loved the South. I'll be honest with you. I loved living in the South, and I really loved it. But I got family here. My family's 3 hours. My wife's family's 3 hours. You know, I've said this publicly. When I was at Butler, you know, I was only there 3 years. They were 3 of the, you know, really fun years, great professional years. And we were in the Big East the whole time. People say, Butler can't compete in the Big East. We competed in the Big East fine. Like,
you guys transferred, you guys went to the Big East your first year as an assistant there. You came over your assistant. That was you guys' first year in the Big East.
That's right. First year as an assistant. And we lost an elite player to an injury. We took our lumps but then, man, the second, third, and fourth years, we were always top 3, top 4 in the Big East. Like, I believe if you're a Butler, you can compete at the highest level and certainly can compete in the Big East. We had really good players. We had a really good run. Our third year, we went to the Sweet 16. But yeah, I mean, it was a great experience coaching there. I forgot what you asked me. I got thinking about Butler and how
what keeps you in the Midwest, but that's okay. It's okay.
I love it. Like family.
That's it.
Family and Avenue X.
My man, snarf, baby. I love that about you. Shout out. So Devin's gonna love that plug. College hoop career. Let's talk a little bit about your college hoops in the record books at Brescia. How do you say that?
Yeah, it's a good try, man. That's a good try.
Brescia? How do you say that?
You got it. Brescia.
The Brescia Bearcats, you were dropping dimes over there. You're in the top 10 in most assists in a single season twice, 91 in the 92 season, in the 90 season. You're in top 6 there, and second most. That record just got broke in 2015. And then you went to you're an All-American at Taylor in the NAIA, ranked number 1, 25-9, Elite 8. You finished with 936 points and 229 assists in 2 seasons, baby. Shooting 40.
Oh, you did your homework.
Oh, you have no idea. We don't play, CH. We don't play. Shooting 47% from that three-point line. Yeah. Let's talk about some of your college memories and who'd you style your game after?
Man, I tell you,
you did your homework. You did it right, baby. It's a big deal.
Hey, nobody knows those stats, man. Those
Come on, Bo. Come on.
Hey, the archives at Brescia, man. That's pulling it out.
They spelled your name wrong. They only got one N on that Holtmann, but I'm not
Oh
mad.
yeah. Well, they're not getting another dollar from me then.
Let's go.
I actually haven't. They was a great. It was a serious business. So I wanted to go to Taylor out of high school.
Okay.
And you guys probably know like how it works with smaller schools is, especially NAIA schools, they decide how much money they're going to give you. They don't give full scholarships.
For sure.
So I told my dad, I said, hey, I want to go to Taylor. That's where I want to go. That's the place. And he called the Taylor head coach, and I grew up very much from a working class family. Like my dad had to work 3 jobs. We didn't have a lot of money. So he said, hey, if you're going to go to college, you're going to have to get a scholarship, and it needs to be, you're going to go to the place that offers the most money. So I really wanted to go to Taylor. He called the Taylor coach. The Taylor coach made the offer, and I'll never forget, I was downstairs. My dad said, well, you're not going to be coaching my son then. And I was crushed because that's where I wanted.
18 years old, CH was heartbroken.
Oh man, I was. So I went there for 2 years because they just offered more money. Then I transferred after 2 years, had a good experience. Man, back in the day, I was a typical slow, I was pretty skilled. I could pass it. I played with some really, really elite players, and that's why I had a lot of assists. But I was more of like a little bit of a bigger guard, and I like to distribute it. But we had a good run. We had a good run, particularly at Taylor, our last 2 years.
Yes, you did. I actually heard you reference to Nora that every kid should play a team sport. Touch on that a little bit. And when did you know that you wanted to be a coach?
Yeah, so my daughter, Nora, she's 13, and we told her a couple.
Shout out to Nora. Shout
out to Nora. Yeah, she's in there studying in the other room right now. So I may be actually shouting at her here in a minute.
I can't wait to have that on the show.
Keep that thing recording.
For sure.
So I told her a couple years ago, it's interesting when you're the head coach's kid, it's like, you can play a sport, but if you play the sport he coaches, there's some, it can be hard.
No doubt.
So I said, hey, you gotta find a team sport. You guys played sports, like the value of playing in a team sport where you figure out what your strengths are, what your teammates' strengths are. You figure out how to make that work. One of the things that I thought was difficult with last year's team is I didn't feel like we always did that as well as our previous teams had done.
Okay.
We got to do a better job of that this year. But yeah, I wanted her to play a team sport, and she's doing a good job. She picked one she likes. She's doing a good job with it right now. What was your other question? I'm sorry.
When did you know you wanted to be a coach?
So I didn't right after college, I was burnt out. I was like, hey, I'm done, like give me a break from hoops because it was 27, 365. There were no rules, NAIA. So I tell you, I took a break for a year or two. And then that second year, I was like, man, I'm getting the itch to coach. I started helping out with the high school team. And man, I got right then it was like, hey, I know this is what I want to do. I want to coach. And went back to my alma mater, coached for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then after I was there for a couple years, I was like, hey, I like coaching small college, but I'd like to coach Division I. And I got a break and then bounced around for the next 15 years.
Boss, perfect segue. Graduated from Taylor 94, spent 12 years as an assistant. After you actually went back to Taylor as an assistant, 5 seasons there, 106 wins, 2 conference championships. You spent 12 years as an assistant before, getting a shot. Is that normal? Is that kind of how it is? Was that kind of how it was back then? You kind of had to earn your stripes? Because now it's like, you just got to know a homie. Like, come be a coach. Like, was that the IS industry standard back then?
It is. Yeah, it really is. Like you got to pay your dues unless you played at a high level. So some of those guys that maybe played were good players they were a really good player at Ohio State. They jump into coaching. Or those guys typically they can speed up the progress.
For sure.
Yeah.
For
You
sure.
didn't play at a high level, you got to grind. And, one of the things like I appreciate about guys who were really good former players, like people say this about Pat Ewing all the time. He was a hell of a player, but that dude grinded for like 14 years in the NBA. And I know things didn't work out at Georgetown for him, but that dude grinded a long time.
Oh, fair. As a coach, you mean? Oh, yeah. That's fair. Very fair. That's very true, CH. That's very, very true. So you have a reputation. You got a reputation as an assistant for being a super dope fire recruiter and a defensive specialist. The same reputation today. Pops question. Go ahead, break that off.
Can you discuss a little bit of how you approach recruiting, how you evaluate potential recruits?
Well, you guys know it's changed a little bit because it's changed a lot actually because this NIL element's coming.
We're gonna get there for sure.
Yeah. So at this point, it's really I think for us, like we still want to recruit guys that want to play at Ohio State, that care about wearing the scarlet and gray, that see the fit being something that appeals to them, and where NIL is a factor but not the factor. And for us, I think we've tried our best players, like EJ Liddell. He was a kid we recruited. One of my assistants, Ryan Peden, did an unbelievable job recruiting him. We knew early on that he kind of grew up watching a little bit of Ohio State football and basketball. And he was Mr. Basketball in Illinois, and we recruited him for 2 years solid. And he fit everything we wanted. He cared about winning at a high level. Great kid. And we also knew that he was going to have some room to develop. And man, he was a 2-time All-American, a sophomore and junior year. So like we're looking for, you got to be able to fit. Like we're not looking for guys. We've had back-to-back one and dones. It's been great, but we don't. You can't
plan for that, homie. You know what I'm saying? You can't plan for that. NIL, and we'll get into it, like I said, but you just can't plan for that type of shit. You really can't.
You can't, because what you planned for in both cases was those guys coming back and being probably our best players or one of our best players as sophomores.
No doubt.
But again, like I'm super happy for both guys. Both guys, one was the 20th pick, one was the 28th pick. Like both guys, you're super happy.
They deserve to go to the league for question. Yeah. No question about it. No question about it. Yeah. And so you got Dwayne Washington, who was with the Pacers, Suns, and the Knicks. You put Malachi in the league, EJ Liddell, Bryce Sensabaugh. Like you're balling over there, CH. Big ups to you.
And more to come, we think we got more to come. I'm not sure. It's hard to have, 3 years of one and dones, but we've got more guys. I think that EJ took 3 years, Dwayne 3 years, Jay Sean Tate, who I coached his 4th year, ended, the Rockets now. So, those guys are great kids and I think going to have really good careers.
You're crushing it, bro. Congratulations to you. Kudos. Head coaching, baby. G-Dub become the head coach at Gardner Webb. Tell us about that first year as a head coach 13 years ago. You're in your late 30s. You know what I'm saying? I think that probably predates Nora, maybe even. I don't know. But all that shit you didn't know. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. First of all, you think you got all the answers when you're an assistant. You've never been a head coach. I'm telling you, man.
You feel me, bro? You feel me?
It's so easy, man. Like
they hand you that whistle, like, here, baby, run the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's so easy. I tell my assistants that right there. I said, man, you guys got all the answers. Why don't you come over here and take my job? Like, you got all the answers. Like, and they laugh at it. They get it. But, like, you legitimately think you got it figured out when you're an assistant.
For sure.
Everything you've tried, you think will work, and it eventually doesn't. One of the things we try to do is give our guys ownership so they can have some trial and error and figure some things out before they become a head coach. But yeah, it was a really good experience. It was right when, so my wife, She did not want to. She was pregnant. We were about to have Nora. She
There
did
you
not
go.
want to
Yeah.
leave. She didn't. I was an assistant at OU. We had just went to the NCAA tournament. She had great friends there. She didn't want to go leave, and I said, "Hey, listen."
Were you coaching with Coach Gross? Were you coaching with Coach Gross
Yeah.
then? Right? Yeah.
So, and he was great. He's a close friend. And I said, "Hey, listen, it's a head coaching job at the Division I level. I know it's a hard job. Many consider it to be one of the harder jobs in the country. Like, I'm not. If I get it offered, I'm not turning it down. I just
Hell
want you
to
to.
the no.
I'm not.
You know, JG, your boy is out of here for sure.
Yes. So, and she was like, I mean, you sure? And I was like, yes, I'm sure. I'm not turning it down. So, got offered. Then after the first year we were there, Butler had just went to the NCAA tournament, and they had just went to the second of the Final Fours, I believe. I think it was the second.
Okay.
Brad calls me after year one and says, "Hey, would you consider coming back and being an assistant with me?" And I was like, "Hey, man, like, let me give this some thought." I mean, I went 11-21, 11-22 or something my first year.
Yes, 11. You did. I have it in here. That's absolutely true. Yes, you did.
Yeah. Like, I've got this massive rebuild that the AD gave me a contract of 5 years. Like, I let me think about it. But I said, man, it's Brad Stevens, it's Butler. Like, what
the hell am I doing for sure?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I really thought about it for like 3 or 4 days. And I'll never forget, I was in the parking lot at Gardner Webb and I called him and I said, "Brad, I cannot believe I'm doing this, but I have to say no right now. I'm an idiot. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Beautiful.
But I gotta say no right now because it's just not fair to my boss." And he's like, "Hey, man, I totally get it. I respect it." And then 3 years later, it worked out to where it was time. And Brad had went to the Celtics at the time, but it was time. Because at that point, 3 years later, we had that thing flipped. We had it flipped from Phil to now it was, okay, it's flipped. Now I can turn it over to a guy and he can put his imprint on it. But now, we won 20 games. Like, it just took us 3 years to kind of flip it.
I love that. Your segue skills are fire, bro. 21-13, 11-5 in conference that year. Big South Coach of the Year. Do you care about that shit? You care about that Coach of the Year stuff? Is that anything to you?
No, the only thing that I think is
I
cool,
knew you were going to say that.
The only thing that's cool is that because it's really your team, your coaching staff, everybody deserves that award. But when I do take pride in the fact that we've done it in three leagues. And when I say it is a coaching thing. Like,
bro, you've been Coach of the Year in every freaking conference you've coached in. That's in my notes. I didn't get to mention that, but you've done it in every conference, Christopher. Come on, bro. That's a big ass deal, bro.
Yeah, I take pride. I do take pride in that because that's when you do that as a coaching staff, man. That means a lot, and that's really cool. When I'll never forget, getting the award at Butler our last year. I mean, you got, some hell of coaches. You got Jay Wright and so many really good coaches. Ed Cooley. That was a really cool thing. And then our first year at Ohio State.
That's beautiful. Go ahead. That's that second question, bro.
Yeah. Can you describe your coaching philosophy, how it translated so well to college level?
Yeah, I think I love everything about coaching, but if you said to me, "Hey, what do you?" I love the competition of it. I love the preparation. And I love doing it with guys that care about the right stuff, that care about winning.
Preach, baby.
I mentioned EJ and Dwayne and those guys. Those guys really cared about the right stuff. I think that the biggest thing I tell young coaches right now is, they always say they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But I think when players right now, like, you cannot fool the players. So players, can see through if you just care about them to get them to perform and do a certain thing.
Absolutely.
They have to know that you legitimately care for them. Doesn't mean you baby them. Doesn't mean you don't, give them discipline and structure, because they need that and the good ones crave it.
Amen.
But you like, and we all know discipline is a big part of love, but like you have to care about players even when it might impact your own best interest. And I think ultimately that's what I hope players feel about myself and our coaching staff. Ultimately, I hope at the end of the day they feel, hey, like Holt really did want ultimately what was best for me. And
that's such a
That's bars.
yeah, and that's such a big part of it,
That's
right?
bars.
You are in a job where you are creating men for the future, and you're giving them skills to go be the men that they're going to be. So having the right staff, the right leader in front of them becomes that much more important.
yeah, it does. And you got to be reminded of that, because, we're flawed. We're all humans. We're all flawed, but they want somebody who can model a degree of, selflessness that's required. And I got a great staff who really does care about guys that are great at building relationships. But at the end of the day, like, I think back in the day, maybe you could be somewhat detached from your players and they would still run through a wall for you.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think you care for players just so they can end up performing well for you. I think you care for players because that's our responsibilities as guys who are in leadership position, is to ultimately care about that individual and help and what's best for him. That doesn't mean, like, again, I'm going to play him as much as he wants to play or whatever, but I'm going to hope that, we care for him at the highest level.
Preach that good gospel, bro. That's good stuff. You good with that?
Yeah.
That's what's up. Butler Bulldogs, my man. After the 2013, you decided it's time to move to Naptown. The 317 become the assistant coach of the Butler Bulldogs under Sean Miller. How much did you love Naptown, bro?
I loved it. I loved it. It was Brandon Miller. I
my
loved it.
bad. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Brandon Miller, my bad.
I loved everything about the city of Indianapolis. I mean, everything. Naptown, people who live in the city know that. Like, loved it.
Yes, sir.
And I think it's one of the great cities, mid-sized cities in the country. You got, as you guys know, you got great professional sports teams. You got an unbelievable downtown.
Tell them.
You got great hotels. Like, you got a lot to do. You got, like, it's a great city. The climate's good. I love Columbus too. I love Columbus. But I think we loved Indianapolis. I remember saying when I was an assistant at Butler, when I was at Taylor, I remember driving to Butler's campus to watch them practice. And I remember seriously saying, damn, like, this is like Camelot down here.
Yeah.
Like, this is unbelievable.
For
like,
sure, bro.
Hinkle Fieldhouse. Like, this is unbelievable. And, man, it really was a magical 3 years. That's why, it was really hard for me to leave. I really, I was, people looked at me side-eyed when I was like, hey, I don't think I want to leave. But I was offered 4, 5, 6 different jobs before this Ohio State one. So it was hard to pull me away because I love Butler.
No doubt. What made you make the choice to go back to being an assistant?
It's hard. It was really hard. That year was hard. I don't think I understood how much I loved being a head coach for those 3 years, how big of a transition it would be. So I felt like, guys, we had done I would not have went to Butler if they weren't joining the Big East. I felt like my goal was always, when I was that age, was get a really good mid-major job and see where I could take it from there. And I thought at Gardner Webb, there was a little bit of a ceiling in terms of how quick I was impatient. I was young. I was impatient. I was trying to climb the ladder. And I thought, hey, for me, go to Butler, help them be successful in the Big East, and then I can go get a Ball State or something like that. That was kind of my
not
thing.
wrong.
Yeah.
No, that's not wrong one bit. That's actually a good thought. And then in 2014, life happened. You end up becoming the interim head coach, and you guys make a dope run and go 23-11, bro. How was that? Did you feel some pressure, or were you kind of playing with house money?
No, there was pressure to it for sure, B. It was, it was a little bit, it was a tragic deal because the guy I worked for had some health issues, and it was his dream job, and he was an unbelievable player at Butler, and I loved him and loved his family. So like to see that go down was hard. You had mixed feelings about taking over a job that was his job, what he had earned. It was after his first year, and it got to the point to where he didn't feel like he could do it anymore. So there were some mixed feelings there. But once I knew, hey, this is about our survival and my staff's survival and the kids and their families, it was like, roll up your sleeves, get to work, figure out how to. So my AD, I'll never forget, to this day, I got a really good relationship with Barry Collier, and we went to lunch, and I said to him, we had some success, and I said to him, hey, actually, this might have been before we started playing. I said, hey, just so I'm on the same page, like, we know that Brandon's not going to return. We know you've named an interim. I know you're also looking at other candidates who you might go to. I said, what would it take for us to get the job permanently? And he goes, that's what I'm evaluating every day when I watch you.
He kept it all the way 100, bro.
Yeah, I can't say it was
wow,
like super.
You can't even get mad, bro. Like, word.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just like, I respect that. It wasn't reassuring.
No, hell to the no, bro.
But I was just like, okay, I know what I got to do. So he came to every practice, and then every practice he was phenomenal. And then he was a former coach, so I actually appreciated that. But no, it was we knew the spotlight was on us. But we had a really good run. We beat Carolina early in the year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that kind of gave us some momentum.
For sure. 3 straight NCAA appearances, I believe. 2017 Coach of the Year. Finished 25-9. Make a Sweet 16 run. And it's time to go. I got to commend you because you leave Gardner Webb and Butler both on high notes. Like, is that intentional? And, like, how do you know when it's time, my dog?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's hard to know because you guys know the age of social media, man. People can sour on you quickly.
You feel me, my dude?
Yeah, really quickly. And the social media has expedited that dramatically.
Yeah.
So coaches I see on the road, they're like, hey, man, I'm not going to be at a place for longer than 5-6 years anymore. I think for me, like people talked about this past season and, leaving or whatever. And I just, for me, it was never, I would never want to leave after a really, really difficult year. And I think I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't want to leave Butler after a good year because we had a good team returning and we just went to the Sweet 16. North Carolina won the national championship that year. They beat us. But, I think this was an opportunity to experience a very different situation in terms of a big state school. College basketball is different because I think in college football, you can kind of say, hey, bigger's always better. College basketball, it's a little bit different.
No doubt.
Bigger's, sometimes can be better. Bigger sometimes can have a whole another set of issues. But we've absolutely loved our time in Columbus and hope to elevate this thing here in the coming years, and really excited about this young group. But it's hard to know when it's time because, things just can turn quickly. But for me, I never wanted to leave a situation, whether it was Gardner Webb or Butler, if it wasn't in a healthy place.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, I know me and B talk on the show all the time about what social media has created, and it's created impatient people.
Yep.
In every capacity.
And unrealistic expectations
Right.
because no one knows, like, hey, if you're thinking of a realistic business model, this is going to take some time to build and actually get working because there's so many moving parts. Everybody wants things immediately, and that's just not how things work.
It's so true. And I think what you have to have is a strong athletic director. You know, I think if any administrator spending most of their time on Twitter, it's probably not an administrator you want to work under.
Absolutely.
I can't
Absolutely.
stand you, dog. I can't stand you. You're so right.
I mean,
you're so right.
Like I won't work for that. I won't work for that guy. Like if he's, it's like, because we know, like studies show, like 22% of the world's on Twitter. That's it. People think it's the whole world. It's not. It's like 22, 23%. And Twitter's dominated by people, probably in like media people. Like you have to be on Twitter because you have a media presence.
Yes.
And so like when I'm sitting down and I'm getting asked questions by the media, I know where they're all coming. They just read their Twitter. And it's a fraction. And in some cases it could be it could be a majority of what, the fan base is thinking, but in other times it's not. But like somebody who supports what we're doing is not going to get in, typically engage in Twitter battles. And you see it right now in politics all the time. It's like, it's so toxic. Why would you want to spend a lot of time on there unless it serves a purpose for you and your profession? Then you have to.
Well, I know when we take our breaks in between, it's like, I need to get off Twitter, and it's become such a toxic place when we're talking sports or doing anything. That's like, why does everyone have such a negative opinion for every little thing?
Yeah, man. Everybody thinks what they say is important.
Yeah,
they really do.
No doubt. The platform's kind of set up for that. It's set up to complain and gripe and all that stuff.
For sure. How are you on time, dog? We got some more. How are you on time?
I got a couple more minutes. Yeah, I'm good for a few more minutes.
All right, cool. So we'll skip ahead a little bit. But Pops does want to know how you maintain such a positive team culture and a rapport with your squad, because they absolutely love you. So at Ohio State, you're absolutely killing it. But how do you keep that? How do you keep the team together?
Good kids, good people. Yeah, good kids, good people, and that's really the biggest thing. Man, last year that really got tested because I think it showed like Bruce Thornton's unbelievable kid, Roddy Gale, Felix Akpara, like that freshman class. Obviously Bryce, who's in the NBA now, but like, and we had Justice come along. Like we had really, we found that those guys kind of led the way in terms of turning the corner. They're late, but I think if you recruit good kids, you really got a chance to have a healthy environment. And I think unselfishness plays a big role in that, man. Like we're showing our guys clips all the time of NBA teams that celebrate when their teammates have success. We just want them to know, like, hey, this is what the very best, this is what the Warriors do. Like, this is what the very best teams do. They celebrate when someone else has success. And so that's what we try to do.
I love that, bro. That's great. The chatter. So no one really cares about, Oral Roberts going to the Sweet 16, losing to Arkansas, Gonzaga, going to the Sweet 16, Houston going to the Sweet 16, Oral Roberts, Sweet 16, losing to Arkansas. When you go to the postseason, you're in the tournament. No one cares that these teams you're playing are really good teams. They just see we lost in the first round, we lost in the second round. Villanova, they go to the Final Four. You know what I mean? Like, no one cares about that. So how do you handle the scrutiny, and how do you keep your head down and just stay in the fight, my guy?
I think you have to parse reality versus what isn't reality. the reality is we have to own the fact that, you know, the COVID being in the middle of this whole thing, you know, makes it a little bit of a truncated view of kind of, because I think we had real success. I could sit here and explain, hey, we lost our most, you know, arguably our most important player when we lost to Oral Roberts in the Big Ten tournament. Kyle Young goes down with the concussion. We lose him. We lose in the Big Ten championship game. But the bottom line is we lost that. And while, you know, I looked at it the other day, I think there's like 4 or 5 coaches in the Big Ten that have been to a Sweet 16. Out of 14 coaches.
Thank you, bro. Preach that gospel, homie.
Preach that in their career. Like in their career. Maybe it's
everybody's not Tizzo. Everybody's not Izzo. You know what I mean? Like, get real.
So it's not like everybody, but I get it. And I appreciate the fact that our fan base has high expectations, as do I. And I think when you know, we've been close to winning a couple championships, but we haven't. We've been, you know, we played Villanova close, but we didn't get to a Sweet 16. Yeah. So I think you own that and say, hey, listen, we're going to attack this thing. We're going to get it done. We haven't yet. We know we will. But we own the fact that, you know, Jay Wright texted me after he beat us a couple years, was that 2 years ago? And said, hey, man, I went.
Humble brag right there. Yeah. That was a humble brag right there.
Oh, man, it was incredible. Yeah, it is a humble brag, but I'm trying to give him more credit than I am me. But yeah, that was a bit of a humble brag. But it was the most encouraging text because he went through a stretch where it was like lost in the first round, lost in the second round, man. Didn't make the tournament. Ooh. And I think he was just challenging me. And then that was before, you know, we had last year, which was, you know, for January and February was a disaster. And so I think for us, you own some of the struggles and you just stay committed to the belief, the high level belief that we're going to get there.
I love that. Last year was last year. That shit's over. We know what that was. What are we excited about this year?
I think just we got more knowns, guys. You got Bruce Thornton, you got Roddy Gale, you got Felix Okpara, Zed Keys. Blockpara. We've got those guys that play big roles that are back. The addition of a couple transfers. But, you know, if we'd have done this time last year, I'd have said, hey, I think we've got so many new guys. I mean, I think we have some talent, but it's going to take us a minute to put together. And we just never could until the very end of the year. I think this year, like you just have more known. The Big Ten's a monster. You can finish 8th in the Big Ten and you can get to a Final Four. That's the reality. I mean, the team up north with Eli a couple of years, like he had teams that finished 6th and 7th and they went to a Final Four, Sweet 16.
Yeah,
bro. In the league is deep.
So battle tested.
Yes. You ask Izzo, who's been in the league for 30 years, he'll tell you the Big Ten's the best it's ever been. So the bottom line is you got to get to the tournament every year to give yourself a chance to make a deep run.
Yeah, bro. That's really good stuff. We are so close, C. We got a couple more questions for you as we get close to wrapping it up. What do you think? Did we almost get Bronny for real?
Yeah, so it was an unbelievable recruitment. LeBron, Savannah, unbelievable people. No like doubt. I just gotta like, just they LeBron and Savannah wanted their kid to be recruited, wanted them to be recruited just like any other kid, which you would expect. For sure. And they were so real and authentic through the whole process, man. Like real and authentic. And I think, you know, if there wasn't a school, you know,
down the street,
yeah, a couple miles away, I think we would have got him. I think we were right there. But
oh man,
I love Bronny as a kid. I'm optimistic that he's going to be able to play this year because I really did love getting to know him as a kid. and LeBron and Savannah, the whole family were unbelievable.
That's dope, man. That's dope, man. And shout outs to your staff. I actually have a note in here talk about your coaches some. We're going to speed ahead, but I just want to give out shout out to TD. We're both good friends at TD personally. So big shout outs to your whole staff. Snapshots, real quick. Quick things, 3 quick questions, whatever comes to your mind first. One of your favorite coaching memories, locker room, a play you called to win the game. First thing that comes to mind.
Oh man. Senior night, my first year.
That's dope.
Because that was a special group. Beating Duke.
Gardner. That's a Gardner.
My first year at Ohio State.
Oh, okay, right on. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Senior night. Let's listen to Jay Sean Tate's speech. Beating Duke in the shot.
Yep.
Really fun night. Beating Duke in the shot.
I was there.
Winning at Purdue. Those were big time moments when they were head in the country.
Toughest coaches to play/playing against.
Painter's like his teams are really hard.
Really?
Yeah, his teams are hard to play. They run 1 million sets. You can't prepare for them all. They got 7-10 dudes all over the floor. Like his teams, they play so hard. Like his teams are really hard to play. But Painter is there's a lot of tremendous coaches.
Yeah,
but those teams are really hard to play.
Yeah, bro. Last one. If you were to go around, you shot 48% from the 3-point line as a college player. You are in the 3-point contest. You've got 5 balls in each one, including the bonus ball, a total of 30 points. What are you shooting in the 3-point contest?
Oh, man. Now?
Right now, my G. Like, no, you're old ass running around. What are you shooting right now, baby? Not even warmed up. Like, you yell at Nora and you go shoot the rock. What are we doing?
Hey, no warm-up time, my old ass.
No. You hot.
Man, I'd be lucky to be about half of them. I go 15, maybe. Maybe. Back in the day when I was shooting 48%, now the line was closer.
It was. It was. You were that.
No, I'd be pressing. I'd only missed a couple back in that day. I'd only missed a couple. I'd have been on point back in the day, but not now.
When's the last time you shot a basketball?
I went the other day and worked out and shot it. And I actually looked at the line, the 3-point line, and I was like, man, did they move this back? Is this the NBA line?
I don't think I got that in me.
I got
a lot of legs.
I got to drop kick this thing in, man.
He was starting to put his feet one front of the other, measuring it out like, huh.
Yeah, I did. I had to go to the corner, because the corner's shorter because of the break.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, baby.
I've had to set up shop in the corner because that top of the key got a little long for me.
It looks deep. CH, bro, we're so grateful for you. This is big to us. Really, like I said, this is the one we wanted right off the jump. I can't believe our first big interview was sitting down here with our dog, Chris Holtmann. Bro, this is so dope to us. We appreciate you, man. I said we try to keep it to 45 minutes. We're at like 46 and a half. So I think we hit it right on the dot, baby.
Oh, you're on point. Great being with you. Great to meet you, brothers. Great being with you guys. And man, I appreciate the love and look forward to seeing you here soon.
Can't wait for the season, bro. We're proud of you. Much love to you. See you soon.
All right, guys. Take care.
Holla.
Cause I was like 2 years old, first time I heard a beat drop. Yeah. And by 3 years old, I'm learning how to beatbox. Yeah. 4 or 5 years old when I'm putting on the 45s. Final. Needle to the groove, I'm scratching up the sweet spots. Homie from the East Block, in that town where the fiends flock. Skip school all day, mama couldn't keep watch. Fresh fade with the Reeboks. Man, nah, nigga couldn't tell me nothing. I'm so sick in my own lane, preteen, pimping all the light skin, red bone loving. Boombox on with the headphones bumping, dreaming to find my niche. Cause I ain't really know back then when I picked up my first notebook and a black pen. That little nigga with a rhyme like this. I wasn't thinking to the days of a dope band, new EPs on a compact disc. Nah, shit, truth be told, I ain't know I could sound like this. For me back then, it was
all a dream. It was all a dream. It was all a dream. It was all a dream. It was all a dream. It was all a dream.
And this shit right here be the proof dreams do come true. And this shit right here be the proof dreams do come true. And this shit right here be the proof dreams